Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our side event. So we slightly changed the title from the very original, but we focus on how to promote low carbon Asia for the Paris Agreement, and then we will introduce the kind of case studies for national and local level experience for how to achieve nationally determined contributions. And then also how market mechanisms can help our, low carbon, zero carbon society development. This side event has 90 minutes, and then we are all the panelists, speakers. Sorry, very bad, no good gender balance here, but anyhow, but I'm very much glad we have a good gender balance for audience. But anyhow, okay, so I'd like to follow this program, and then yeah, I'm Junichi Fujino from the National Institute of Environmental Studies. I'm one of the organizers. So this time, NIES, National Institute of Environmental Studies, and the UTM, and OECC and the MOEJ as a joint organizer for this side event. Okay, so we have several presentations, and then we will have the open discussion in the last part of the panel. And also there is one announcement now. Japan Pavilion ask all of you to join a side event this one organized by Japan, and also the in a Japan Pavilion. And then if you join more than 4 side event and then collect the stamps. Now the Dr. Kubota has the stamps. And if you collect 4 stamps, then you may get very gorgeous gift from Japanese pavilion. So then if you have interest, please join us. Okay, so let's start our side event. So firstly, I'd like to invite the one organizer, Professor Siong from University Technology Malaysia.
Thank you, moderator Dr. Fujino. I will deliver this speech on behalf of my Vice Chancellor, University Technology Malaysia. A very good morning and a big welcome to our side event. First of all, I would like to address to our Mr. Mizutani-san, Director of MOEJ, and Datuk Sahrom, Ujang, representing Mayor of Kuala Lumpur, and Mr. Boyd, Joeman, representing the CEO of Iskandar Malaysia, distinguished guests from Vietnam, Mr. Nguyen, and of course, I would like to welcome also our Tan Sri Isa, President of Union of this International Architect. Yeah. Very big welcome. Yeah, it's very good to have Tan Sri around with us. Yeah. As we mentioned today, the title today is changed slightly on kind of promoting low carbon Asia for Paris Agreement cases of national and local experience on NDC activities and market mechanism. So in tandem with the UNFCCC framework, establishment of a new framework, action plan and system to the developing countries, Asian countries, including Malaysia, Vietnam, or Cambodia, as a fast-growing nation, are at the stage of formulating their action plans towards low carbon development. It is important for developing countries such as Malaysia and Vietnam to provide a kind of backup to their framework throughout through their own research. Overall policies for low carbon development should be promoted voluntarily by researchers in each country, and research results should be continuously reflected in actual policy formulation and implementation. So this side event actually showcased the evidence of how this country benefited from the collaboration and the grant given by the Japanese government in general, and of course MOEJ or JICA in particular. The Low Carbon Asia Research City project shows a strong and continuous major joint research effort between universities and ministries from these countries with Japanese institutes such as NIES, OECC, and IGS. And Research University will be leading the Asian researchers to work with a team of top Japanese environmental engineers, researchers from Japanese universities, or even NIES or OECC and IGS. So this side events basically serve as a dialogue platform for policymakers and researchers and knowledge sharing to discuss pertinent issues in relation to low carbon society, in relation to market mechanism and modeling. So it aims to further strengthen collaboration and cooperation already established among participating universities and key government authorities, as well as counterparts from other Asian regions. Lastly, I would like to thank NIES, IGS, OECC for continuous and generous support given to Asian Low Carbon Initiative, and my sincere appreciation to members of the organizing committee for their hard work and dedication. To all, I wish you a meaningful and rewarding experience in COP22. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ho. I also want to invite the Mr. Mizutani-san for the opening remarks. He is a director of the international office in MOEJ.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Yoshihiro Mizutani from Ministry of the Environment, Japan. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for coming to this official side event of UNFCCC today. I would also like to convey my sincere appreciation to the event co-organizer, National Institute of Environmental Study of Japan, UTM and OECC, and the distinguished presenters and panelists. After the adoption of Paris Agreement, while development of national plans such as NDCs have been making progress, that of city-level plans for the realization of low-carbon society also becoming active these days. As articulated in the Paris Agreement and also last G7 environmental ministers meeting in Toyama, Japan, the role played by non-state stakeholders such as cities and local governments is very important in implementing climate change mitigation measures. Recognizing this, our ministry has been promoting development and implementation of climate change policies in developing countries at both national and city levels. To promote city levels climate actions, our ministry has been promoting two measures. The first one is JCM city-to-city collaboration feasibility study program. It was started in 2013, aiming to investigate the feasibility of low-carbon project development package at city or regional level in partnership between a Japanese city and its Asian partner city. Our ministry has been also supporting the creation of Environmental Sustainable City, ESC, in collaboration with ASEAN countries by implementing ESC Model Cities program and high-level seminar. Detail will be presented in the session by myself. And also, I would like to note that our ministry has been supporting the scenario planning for climate change action, as well as establishment of reporting system in Asian countries. Ms. Fujino-san will elaborate these activities in his presentation later. Finally, I would like to close my remarks to you by expressing my sincere expectations that presentations and discussions in this side event will provide meaningful opportunities for everyone here to share information and experience which can contribute to promote further mitigation actions and transition to low carbon society. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mizutani-san, for your kind opening remarks. Okay, so then now let's move to the presentation session, and then I'd like to invite Mr. Ranping from World Resource Institute, very famous organization, and then he will talk about like the global trend of the nationally determined contributions. Okay, so
my name is Ranping. I'm from World Resource Institute. I want to express my gratitude for NIES, IGS, and the government of Japan for inviting me to share the thoughts on NDC implementations, what's opportunities, what are challenges, and what the supports out there, and what we need to do going forward. Since I'm a really limited time, so I'm not going to go through the tremendous success we achieved in the Paris Agreement and all the opportunities there for NDC implementation. But one thing I want to highlight is that we can see that the countries that has specified really specific actions and opportunities across different sectors. You can see that there's actually more than 129 countries NDC have a specific energy plan. We see 38 countries have reforest and land use change plans. In fact, the top 10 for most forested countries, they all have specific either forest-related targets or included land use in their goals in the goal boundary. In terms of the subnational action, we also see that there's tremendous interest in transportation. This is one of the highlights for the NDCs, and there's actually really good momentum for adaptations and action on HFC. So we see that there's actually a lot of really good details and opportunities across all the sectors. What's most important is that it's not only the government is working, is trying to deliver. Actually, there's a bunch of civil society, subnational government, regional government actually is coming together and to deliver and helping countries to actually to deliver this change. You can see that I just want to point. There's a lot of initiatives that actually specific pinpoint for these different specific goals and opportunities. For example, so the Global Covenant of Mayors, more than 1,700 cities in 119 countries actually pledged to take climate actions, including adaptation actions. Just take a really quick look on energy planning. So it's actually one of the most highlight for NDCs, for the countries that actually submitted. The highest emitting countries, they're actually doubling their clean energy production by 2030. That means that the whole world, if the goals are achieved, only by those top 8 emitting countries, top 10 emitting countries, that their clean energy output will increase by 25%. Asia plays a really specific role, very significant role in the contribution. We can see that China, India, Japan, Indonesia, together they're actually producing more than 6,000 terawatt of electricity from non-fossil fuel if their clean energy plan is going to be achieved. And this is not a trend only for the big players in the region, but also smaller countries like Fiji, Laos, Palau, and island states. They also have really ambitious renewable energy and clean energy plans and targets in place to move this forward. So this is just one example of many sectors that is we're seeing a huge sense of momentum. And others, from looking at another way, is how all we know that in 2016 that we have the Sustainable Development Goal that countries universally agree. And we actually did analysis to look at, the countries, the NDCs, to what extent they aligned with the SDGs. So we found that there's a great degree of alignment between what countries are saying they do in the NDCs, INDCs, and what the SDG goals set to achieve. So essentially, of the 17 goals that will match some of the countries' specific targets and measures or actions, and on the target level. So NDCs have goal target. At target level, you still see a vast majority of the targets is covered by different countries. So countries are actually realizing SDG, the benefit between the development and climate action, and why they may not explicitly acknowledge that in the NDC, they may not explicitly say the word SDGs, but what they're saying in substance, they are really aligned. What's looking there. So we do a little bit deep dive to Asian countries. So let's go with Vietnam first. So for Vietnam, we analyzed their NDCs. Essentially, their NDCs cover all of their SDG goals except for one goal that is, you can see that a level of alignment. So for example, I just give you an example why there's actually a lot of alignments. I just give you one specific examples for goal 2, which is zero hunger. And events and this is indicated that you ensure food security through protection, sustainable maintaining, and managing agricultural lands. restructuring of crops and livestock, create new climate change resilient varieties, complete the disease controls and prevention systems. So what Vietnam set to do in agriculture in the NDCs is complete in alignment with the zero hunger goal in the SDGs. The same applying to China. For example, China specific outline that one of the measures to promote low carbon industrialization, promote low carbon development of industry sectors, which is very aligned with the goal 13, sustainable development, consumption and production. So just give it very quick examples. We are going to publish this more materials, target level alignments online in the coming months, and welcome you to check it out. Opportunities are there. There's actually good opportunities for robust, effective, ambitious NDC implementations, but there's also, this is also a huge amount of challenge. So over the last few months, WRI informally talked to a bunch of developing countries to understand what they see is a challenge for them to actually implement what they said in the NDC. So we found that, actually there's a theme that's very important to be addressed, and what is actually holding them back. For the 4 themes here I'm presenting, it's more about the task they need to do, right? So they need to plan for implementation. Of course, planning for implementation will mean different to different countries. In some countries, planning for implementation they need to translate their national NDCs into national targets, into regional and city targets. They need to do that disaggregation and figure out how to do it. For other countries, you may know about it's more about sectors. How you allocate that in different sectors. So different countries have different situations, but they all need to plan the implementation better. The second theme, the challenge we're seeing is for setting up institutional arrangements. For the NDC, it's a great undertaking to have a chance to success. They're actually relying a high level alignment and capacity building for the national institutions, and not only for the national level, but also for the subnational and city level. So they need to have a really good, they need to do this in order to make this happen. Of course, you need to innovate. We need to identify, we have the goal. We need to identify specific policy levels and assess the impacts. Countries actually emphasize the importance of, greater, capacity to identify and put in place key policy levels, including legal and regulation framework. For example, give an example in Africa, in Uganda, a national climate change law is currently being drafted. The country is using that law as a framework to deliver the NDC and mechanisms, using the word to provide a framework to identify, what's the adaptation, mitigation, financial mechanism, capacity building framework to organize their activities on the NDC implementation. So we need to have that kind of framework and levers and policy regulation framework in there. And finally, getting ready for finance, for investment. That's what they need to do. Is end of the day, it's about actions, about real change on the ground, which you need to get financed. But for them to get financed, they need to have the capacity and readiness to be there. So we talked to a few countries. For example, one specific country told us that they only have, for now, they only have one agency accredited from the GEF, and they actually want to see a lot more. And a lot other countries, they actually don't have anybody, agencies accredited from this funding mechanisms. And just one tiny example of the vast majority, the challenge they're facing, including in terms of getting ready to get financed. But this is what they need to do. Another set of challenges is like how this should be done. For the magnitude of the NDC and to achieve the low carbon future, that they really need to deepen and broaden the engagement. It cannot be just about the Ministry of Environment, or maybe in some countries, Ministry of Energy. It needs to be a broader engagement across different ministries, but across sectors, private sectors, civil societies, and get a buy-in to really, because especially in some countries, the NDC was developed in a very rushed manner. So it may be a high-level political view, but there need to be a lot more consultation efforts and to solidify the support for the NDC in countries. That's what, how this can be done. They need to be, it cannot be, a very top-down manner. You have the top-down political view, but you need to have a broader engagement there. You need to be aligned development and climate agenda. I've mentioned there's actually opportunities there. And only by aligning the, when we do the NDCs, only by aligning development and climate action agenda, then can we actually capitalize on these opportunities and, reduce the barrier we are facing. Another way to do the NDC implementation is about building long-term in-country capacity. So we talk to some countries, and it's an experience that some of the European countries, they will get support, but they will, an international consultant fly in and do the technical analysis for them, and they find out. Nothing was left on the ground, built in the national capacity, national institution to do the work, carry on the work. So this is really important because it's like they are the people on the ground who actually will carry the torch going forward, and they will stay. So how we can provide support that actually build a national organizations that will do this in the long term rather than just short-term consultant fly in and fly out, and doesn't have a long-lasting impact on the ground. Also, the way that we provide support is critical. So one official told me that because some of the ad hoc workshop is so saturating, the government officials they just feel busy going to workshops while they're really learning how to do a job. Then it's more random workshop here and there rather than embedding the capacity building to the task strategically and holistically to the thing they need to do. Therefore, in a way, in the time she said, workshop doesn't work because they don't need more workshop. They need a more systematic, strategic capacity building program to where they're learning. They need to be applying right away from their day job rather than just a random training here and there. So that's another critical point. And finally, the coordination with national support. There's actually a lot of initiative I'm going to show you later, but there's actually a space for better coordination for support from donors working together to make sure they're actually responsive to national needs rather than doing duplicate things or you getting a gap there. So this leads to my final theme is what's support out there. We did a quick landscape analysis to see what's the support available to countries who want to take on the NDCs. And you can see this huge amount of initiative, including JCM city-specific collaboration. It's one of the, I think we'll hear more from later today. There's all the other really good work done by development partners that are covering adaptation to mitigation. You have finance, you have NAMA, you have MME, you have MRV, you have all spectrum of activities. So actually, lots of things are going on. It's there, but a few observations by doing this landscape analysis. One thing is that there's so many support out there. So countries will need to somehow help them to navigate, find the thing they need. They have the national agenda. They need to find a way to actually finding the support out there to what they actually want and they need on the ground that actually utilize them in a better sense. Second, because there's so many initiatives that need to be coordinating better, talking to each other, making sure there's no gap and there's no overlap and no duplication. So better coordination between initiatives is of critical importance. And finally, that we need to recognize and try to address gaps, among all these things. They actually, for example, I know that one of the priorities for Vietnam is for adaptation MME. To have that, there's not really specific. There's some program doing that, but it's not really clear that what kind of support countries can get if they want to set up their MME system for adaptation. So recognize the gap and then have a risk targeted effort to address those gaps will be of critical importance. And finally, I will introduce an initiative that Brian is part of. It's called NDC Partnership. It's a coalition of governments and international organizations and non-state actors to work together to actually boost the implementation of NDCs. The idea is really to do business differently, not the business usual kind of support. We want to shift the dynamic, the paradigm from how support is provided. We want to align the development with climate change. We want to mainstream climate change with the development agencies. It's not do it in a in a very in the turf manner, is that actually we should come together, and we want to really emphasize the country-drivenness of the support. That they have the country, how country gain support, they should be driven by country demand, rather than just driven by donors. The NDC partnership aims to enhance the coordination of donors to provide support and change the way that donors are going to demand partner provide support, and then also facilitate the process for countries to getting technical and financial support in a way that actually would be responsive to national needs. I'm not going to go into detail of what we're going to do here, because in November 15, we have a launch for the partnership, and I invite you to go to our website and also join our event to learn more about the initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ranping-san, for your sharing the very latest, NDC's support status, and also now we understand how coordination is quite important. Also, how to having good collective, actions. And so now, then I'd like to move to the second presentation. So then now let's listen to the Japanese initiatives, how to support like NDC's development, and also the cities for students.
Okay, again, good morning, everybody. The title of my presentation is Japan Supporting Activities Modeling City Twinning Market Mechanism. But today I want to focus on city-to-city collaboration in our ministry's program. Our support initiative related to the NDCs in developing countries cover from planning to implementation, and also cover whole PDCA cycle of the low carbon city creation. In the planning stage, AIM or AIM can be utilized for promoting a low carbon city. The detail will be explained by Dr. Fujino later. And in the PDCA cycle of the implementation, we support to conduct JCM feasibility study before formulating our JCM project at the beginning of the implementation. And in addition, we also support to conduct a pilot scale project for environmental sustainable cities through Japan ASEAN Integration Fund. At the stage of the check, we transfer our know-how of the report program to check the effectiveness of the project. Dr. Fujino will also show you the example of carbon reduction reporting program by Tokyo Metropolitan Government. As all of you may know, we recognize the role of the city as a non-state actor is essential to tackle climate change. At COP21 at Paris and the G7 Environment Ministers meeting in Toyama, Japan this year. And according to IEA, it was estimated that more than 70% of carbon dioxide emission derived from cities, and it will increase in the future. Therefore, to tackle actions to reduce the greenhouse gas emission in a city is a key to achieve our GHG target. Today, I will show you our two programs, city-to-city collaboration feasibility study for JCM, and ASEAN City ESC model, ESC City Model Program. Joint crediting mechanism, JCM, is a bilateral scheme operated by Japan and their partner country to facilitate diffusion of leading low carbon technologies, products, systems, services, and infrastructures. Under JCM schemes, a partner country receive a financial and technical support for installing low carbon technologies, while Japan will receive a part of carbon credit generated from JCM project. Now we have 16 partner countries for JCM. So why do we focus on city in the JCM? Under JCM scheme, many efforts are made to transfer low carbon technologies, but in some cases, we may find some difficulties, finance or some cultural issues, etc. On the other hand, we know that the role of city for environmental protection and for climate change actions is very critical. So actually, many cities in Japan have lots of experience and know-how from planning to implementation and maintenance to overcome environmental issues. So now we think it's better to combine the business B2B private collaboration and the city-to-city collaboration. We believe that city-to-city collaboration can facilitate feasibility, facilitate diffusion of low carbon technologies, as well as transfer of knowledge and know-how owned by a local government in Japan, like policy planning or implementation or maintenance or something like that. In a city-to-city collaboration program, we can support development of master plan, project screening, feasibility study on the project screen, and JCM project formulation. So very wide range we can support. And in this fiscal year, 6 cities in Japan and 9 cities in Asian countries are conducting feasibility study for JCM. Later, I want to touch upon one example in Hai Phong in Vietnam and Kitakyushu in Japan. And in addition, in the current 3 years, 13 JCM projects have been formulated after city-to-city collaboration feasibility study. So in this slide, I want to explain the outline of Hai Phong and Kitakyushu collaboration. Hai Phong City developed a green growth promotion plan about 2 years ago, and supported by Kitakyushu City. And then to implement the promotion plan, both cities are now conducting a feasibility study for installing a cogeneration and heat recovery, etc. There are 7 sectors, 7 sectors action in Hai Phong City Green Growth Promotion Plan, such as waste, energy, transport, etc. And now I want to show you the one example in Hai Phong and Kitakyushu collaboration in Katoba Island, which is a world natural heritage site. And now 2 cities are conducting feasibility study on installation of EV bus, solar panel, and bio-waste to energy plant. And now we hope that after the feasibility study, it will go to the JCM projects and create benefits for both 2 countries. Then I would like to move on to the ASEAN ESC Model City program. The ASEAN ESC Model City program is one of the important initiatives under Japan-ASEAN Environmental Cooperation Framework. It aims to promote environmental sustainable city in the ASEAN region by encouraging ASEAN's front-runner cities to implement voluntary practice based on their vision and the policy. We call it the Model City program. And in terms of high-level seminar, we are now focusing on the achievement of SDGs, which was decided last high-level seminar in March in Vietnam. Model city program was launched in 2011, supported by Japan ASEAN Integrated Fund. And since then, we have had 3 phases. And since the beginning, 40 cities in 8 countries have been supported to implement more than 200 activities with a multi-stakeholder approach. And I want to show some examples of model city in Malaysia and Vietnam. Especially in Malaysia, it's very interesting. Pantai Chunang City, it's difficult to pronounce, but it's trying to establish a model beach community with eco-friendly and sufficiency practices, including rainwater harvesting, solar energy, and composting and mangrove protection. It's a very comprehensive project and very interesting, I think. My presentation today focus on the role of the city and show you some example of city-to-city collaboration. And I hope that this website in this slide are a good reference for all of you. And I believe that city-to-city collaboration is a very useful tool means for realizing low carbon cities in a partner country. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mizutani-san, for the sharing the Japanese initiative how to support, especially city-to-city cooperation. Have the following presentation to the Mizutani-san, how academic side support having such the activity to climate national, not only national level but also the local level and also implementations. So I'm the explain about the part of the plan PDCA part first. AI model itself, it starts from the 1989. So then we support like COP3 or COP15 and then current COP21. And then also now we support city level too. It's a modeling. And so then we collect the data and then do the modeling, simulation, and also the developing the climate change action plan target setting. And then today, I'd like to explain the new initiative for COP22 to work together with Hai Phong City, Vietnam. This is one of the leading city, Vietnam, Hai Phong, and then how they set their original target, GHG reduction target. So we're having the several workshops, and then Prof also joined the FA1, and then Prof having the sharing the experience in Malaysia. Then we having the follow-up workshop last September. Then Hai Phong City can develop these scenarios, how they can reduce 14% by 2030. And then they identify 4 main actions. So this is quite great initiative. And also, I'd like to introduce the second new initiative for this COP22 by Da Nang City. So Da Nang City is also one of the leading cities in Vietnam. And then they having the similar target, but we also support having capacity development that the Ranping-san mentioned. Then they identify there is a potential to reduce 16% by 2030. So then I think this kind of potential can be made by like a JCM or like a technology transfer capacity building. Our part to show the potential how city can reduce carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas emissions. So there are new two initiatives for Hai Phong. So they work very hard to prepare these two, initiatives for COP22, because COP22, it's a time from planning to implementation. Paris Agreement, this is quite important moment to share the target, but now it's a momentum for action. So then I appreciate the two cities initiatives. And then now I'd like to also touch on a check part, PDCA part. So plan is important, but the next question is that how to achieve such plan. Then Mizutani-san already kindly introduced, but we work together with several cities in Japan, and then this is a case of the for Malaysia, but we work together with Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Right? Tokyo Metropolitan Government is the first city to start cap and trade system in 2008. And then now, know-how transfer. So then how we can, understand, digest the Tokyo Metropolitan experience, and then how we can, share this experience to like Malaysia. And then now Malaysian colleagues work very hard. So this is the TMG system, but so TMG asks the main building to report greenhouse gas emissions or energy consumptions and any reduction potential. Then we, share this experience. So then, like Mr. Cha over there, he visited the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and then he looked the system by himself. And then we also visited Malaysian cities to know the situation. Then we can share the our lesson. And then now Putrajaya city or Iskandar Malaysian cities now considering to start this reporting system. And then this is supported by the MOEJ, Ministry of Environment, Japan. So PDCA part, there are many roles, but we need kind of very integrated support, and then we are very much happy to work together with you, and then how to enhance city-to-city cooperation. So thank you very much. This is my part. Thank you very much. Okay, so then, yes, let's go on. Then, then we'd like to move to the case study sessions, and then there are two presentators, but in the beginning, I'd like to invite Hui from the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources at MONRE, Vietnam. Yeah, and so floor is yours. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chess. I'm very pleased to be here to give you presentations on case study of city-to-city cooperation projects in Vietnam. Actually, you have heard case study on of city-to-city cooperations between some cities in Japan with Da Nang city and Hai Phong city. So now I would like to give you a little bit information on other cities, the biggest cities in Vietnam, the Ho Chi Minh City. So my presentation today is promoting low carbon development, case study of Ho Chi Minh City's cooperation project, and the content include three parts. First, provide you an overview on the current cooperations between Vietnam and Japan at the national and city level. The next is look in little bit in detail case study of Ho Chi Minh City cooperation projects for developing low carbon cities and some lesson learned. Actually, this is the part I think new, different from the previous presentations on case study of city-to-city between Japan cities and Vietnam cities. So as you may know that in recent policy documents in Vietnam, the Vietnam insists that strategic orientations of Vietnam is to focus on green growth and low carbon development. And in order to achieve the objectives of green growth and low carbon development, a number of policy and strategies are in place. For instance, national strategies on climate change and national strategies on green growth is placed for promoting low carbon green growth in Vietnam. And along with the domestic resource and effort, the international cooperation has been strengthened for low carbon and green growth in order to mobilize and get support from international development partners. And one of typical example is the cooperation between Vietnam and Japan. As I mentioned in my presentations, Vietnam and Japan have signed MOU on low carbon development at both national level and city level. At the right hand side, you can see in the first picture, national level, the MOU had been MOU on low carbon development had been was signed between the ministries of environment of Vietnam and with the counterparts ministries in Japan. And the second is Ho Chi Minh City MOU with Osaka cities was signed in October 2013. And based on MOU on developing low carbon city between Ho Chi Minh cities and Osaka cities, the projects on cooperation between Ho Chi Minh and Osaka City for developing low carbon cities aim to establish a low carbon society for Ho Chi Minh City with a close cooperation between Ho Chi Minh cities and Osaka cities. I think so far, Osaka City has supported Ho Chi Minh cities to develop and implement climate change action plans and support the progress of management of climate change action plan, as well as the capacity building for implementations of that action plans, and support to promotions of PPP public-private partnerships based on city-to-city cooperation. And I just realized the low carbon smart low carbon city, you can see in the screen that there are a lot of the huge potential areas for corporations, like waste management, transport, improvements of automobile fuel efficiencies, improvements of energy efficiencies, and renewable energies. So actually, those are the potential areas for cooperation between city to city. So the goals, the specific objectives of the city to city cooperation is to transfer the advanced environmental technology and administration from Japan, from Osaka to Ho Chi Minh cities. And too many channels, especially for the ZSAM channels, ZSAM fund that's used for the transfer of low carbon and environmental advanced technologies to Ho Chi Minh cities. And so far, there have been 3 ZSAM model projects in process of implementations in Ho Chi Minh City. So the low carbon technologies are to be transferred to Ho Chi Minh City. So I list out here the 3 example projects, ZSAM projects. The first is eco-driving by using a digital tachograph system projects of introduction of solar PV system at shopping malls in Ho Chi Minh City, and the introductions of high efficiency air conditioners in the hotel. In the coming 3 slides, I go into a little bit in detail each project. For instance, projects of eco-driving by using a digital tachograph system. In this project, 130 trucks in use by Nippon Express in Vietnam are fitted with an eco-ride improving system using the digital tachograph. The driver is given advice in order to improve their driving behaviors based on the analyzed data information sent from the digital tachograph, so that the quantities of fuel consumption transportation will be managed more efficiently. This directly linked with the reductions in carbon dioxide emissions. So this project is expected to reduce 328 ton carbon dioxide per year. And the second is the project of introduction of solar PV system at shopping mall in Ho Chi Minh City. Actually, this project is to install the solar PV system in parking areas for cars and bicycle in the shopping malls in Ho Chi Minh City. This is very, it can be seen as a model that can be duplicate and expand to other shopping malls in other cities in Vietnam. So this project is expected to reduce about 274 ton carbon dioxide per year. And the first project is introductions of high efficiency air conditioning in hotel. This project introduced air conditioning control system to air conditioner in 6 component factories in Vietnam. This system can be introduced to existing facilities and realize energy saving by preventing excessive cooling without impairing comfortableness. This project is expected to reduce 4,681 tons carbon dioxide per year. So here's some lessons learned from the case study of Ho Chi Minh City, the Ho Chi Minh Osaka City to City Cooperation Project. At least in entities of nation, city plays a big role in common national effort in reducing greenhouse gas reaction toward low carbon, green growth, and implementing commitments in IRDCs. So city-to-city cooperation is one way, I think, to contribute to reductions of greenhouse gas in large scale through technology transfer, urban planning support, know-how transfer, etc. And Ho Chi Minh Osaka cooperation model can be applied widely for other cities in Vietnam and Japan. For instance, now at least already it's applied for Da Nang and Hai Phong cities, some big cities in Vietnam. And I think in order to facilitate efficiencies of city-to-city cooperation in case of Vietnam, I do think that the line ministries and cities should identify the priority areas for cooperation and identify the need criteria for technology transfer to cooperate well with the proper partner cities. So you may know that in Japan is very famous with one village and products. So I mean, for Osaka has its own strong points in technologies, and other cities have different strong points in technology. So Hai Phong or Ho Chi Minh City or Da Nang City have different typical features. So I think the first priority should be identify needs and criteria for technology transfer, and then find out the correspondence and proper partner cities. And through the JCAM actually is now important channels for existing projects and support for the ongoing city-to-city corporations in Vietnam. So I think development and expansions of joint granting mechanism is therefore very important. Otherwise, we need more different and more innovative, creative mechanism like JCAM to support the city-to-city corporation. So this ends of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pui, to introduce very detailed, the case study, how Vietnamese cities like Ho Chi Minh City having the good collaboration with like Osaka City and city-to-city cooperation, and also how Japanese initiative support to having the low carbon development. Thank you very much. Yeah, Shinkamon. And then I'd like to invite the second case study from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur City, the capital city in Malaysia. And then I'm very much happy to have Datuk Sahrom. So the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I'm going to share Kuala Lumpur experience in developing climate change mitigation plan. We believe that in order to reduce carbon, we need to develop a local level climate change plan that can help cities reduce their carbon emission, and in doing so, we are coming out Dia lari jauh. Sini. Okay. We are coming out with a blueprint which were called is a low carbon society blueprint. We are targeted by the year 2030. The study will be completed, and we hope that we can achieve in terms of the low carbon society by that year. As we know that our Prime Minister already committed during a speech in the year 17 December 2009, whereby Malaysia adopting an indicator of a voluntary reduction up to 40% in terms of emission intensity of GDP. And then he also committed to reduce up to 40% in terms of emission intensity of GDP by the year 2030. This commitment already done during the COP21 Paris December 2015. Actually, this is at the national level, but in local level, we go more on that. So the BKL or City Hall Kuala Lumpur will reduce the low carbon emission by 70%. 70%. No, this is not as stated by Prime Minister, because this is more on the national level. By doing so, actually we have a comprehensive planning approach for Kuala Lumpur to adopt and also to achieve the target. First, we use the Malaysian Global Commitment to reduce 50% by the national level, and then go direct to the local level. And then we use the National Physical Plan, the red block there, and then go down to Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan 2020, and go down to DBKL Planning Guideline and Planning Control. By the way, we also supported by certain report like Greater KL, Greater KL Land Public Transport Master Plan, Kuala Lumpur City Plan 2020, and also the BKL Strategic Plan 2010 to 2020. These are all combined together, become a spatial development plan for Kuala Lumpur. Look at the scenario from 2010 to 2030. As you know, the population increase, let's say from 2010 at 1.47 million, and projected to be 2.49 million at 2030. And at the same time, the gross domestic product also increased from 64,852 ringgit per capita up to 399,013 ringgit per capita for the year 2020. This is just to share that must be in balance between population growth and also gross domestic product. At the same time, actually Kuala Lumpur has a structure plan 2020, whereby we have a vision Kuala Lumpur to be a world-class city by 2020. And then we aim to be world-class business environment, world-class and working environment, world-class in living environment, also world-class in governance. At the same time, City Plan Kuala Lumpur 2020 have developed 8 development trusts, whereby follow up by 24 strategic direction and also 73 key initiatives. And to be a smart city as planned in our local plan, we have to promote intelligent system which provide a circle which involve green industrial sector, energy efficient building, green resilient infrastructure, greening of the city, and also low carbon transport system. As you know that by doing so, we must have initiative to achieve our target. First, by transportation, we introduce rail system as main transport system in Kuala Lumpur, and also the bicycle lane cover all over Kuala Lumpur. The bus system and also pedestrian network. As you pay visit to Kuala Lumpur, you can see all over the city we have and also completed the pedestrian network, especially around the KLCC area. And number two, we also building, and then in terms of building, we trying to get the green building index. Water reduce, reuse, and recycle program. We call it 3R. Water, we have River of Life. We covered right now. We covered around 12 kilometers, and then halfly done, and also rainwater harvesting. The energy, we have energy efficient building, and encourage Euro 5 NGV for public transport, and also infrastructure and digital technology. Initiative of Integrated Transport Information System, ITIS. And last one, environment, we more focus on open space, tree planting, vertical green, community garden, and preserving forest. For your information, in our planning control department, we impose so many conditions that the developer have to fulfill. One, if land more than 5 acres, we will impose 5% of the total land to be stranded and become green area or open space. And every development, we impose 2 meter parameter planting and 10% of green area within the development area. To implement low carbon society 2030, actually we have a group of consultants to help us. One, the leading consultant is from University of Malaysia, from Kyoto University, and also Okayama University. This is a joint with DBKL, City of Kuala Lumpur, to be a joint coordinating committee. Period is from 2016 to 2017, and then the target year is 2030. The main objective is to cutting the city carbon dioxide emission intensity by 70% by 2030, without compressing the city vision and also economic growth target. And this is the diagram that show our seriously in terms of achieving the low carbon society. At the end, by the year 2030, we will achieve the 70% reduce of low carbon society. Actually, we have a regular focus group discussion, and at the same time, we make use of the local Agenda 21 as a main program to educate public and participate in our low carbon society. The most important thing, the way forward, that the city are the main contribution to greenhouse gases, but also the key solution to combating climate change. Kuala Lumpur is the primary city of Malaysia, is committed to significantly contribute to achieving the national greenhouse gases reduction target. And also low carbon society is the way forward to a world-class, prosperous, livable, and also sustainable Kuala Lumpur. Good scientific research is cornerstone to the formulation and effective implementation of low carbon society policy. And also to build on rigorous science effective by realizing the greenhouse gases emission reduction, and also community engagement and also consensus building are pivotal towards ensuring successful low carbon society strategy. And last one, highest level government support greatly expedite LCS science to LCS action. This is the example where the group focus on studying and so come up with the study. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Datuk Sahrom. He's the director of the urban planning section from the DBKL, and then it's great initiative by the Malaysian capital city to having the low carbon planning, and then supported by the good experience from the Malaysian the expert. And then I'd like to invite Professor Ho to how he's a man to support the DBKL low carbon society planning. So then, could you kindly sharing your experience?
Yeah, I think thank you, Dr. Fujino. I think as you mentioned just now, I think this Marrakesh or COP22 is a moment for implementation. So I think we are not talking about planning alone. We have to do a lot of policy planning and all this, but then how do we do the implementation at local level, community level, and city level? So, and of course, we also follow the discussion of Dr. Ranping Song. He mentioned that the challenges of NDC implementation. So I like to focus a little bit discussion on that topic, whereby how do we do planning to implementation? I think this is the biggest challenge to Asian country, because we are developing so fast, urbanization is so rapid, industrialization is so rapid. How can we do to decarbonize this urbanization process? So in our case, University of Technology have taken 3 cities. One of Iskandar, Malaysia, where I think the head of the environment, Mr. Boyd, will explain more. And of course, our Datuk Sharma explained about Kuala Lumpur. And of course, we also do one for Putrajaya. These are 3 case studies that we have done. And we actually adopted, we call science to action, S2A, science to action. Science to action, basically, we started with a good master plan where they have a projected time frame where from, they say, 2010 or 2005 to 2030 or 2020, what they vision the city to be. And what we do here is we came in, we decarbonize this so-called master plan to what potential that reduction they can achieve. So by doing that, actually, we are introducing so-called science to action, where we can facilitate formulation and implementation of a science-based policy. That means the policy at the urban level are not purely just a policy at design stage alone, but now it's backed up with science. Basically, modeling and see, we try to simulate what would be the best way to achieve a low carbon. I think that is to us is important. That means we involve understanding of the climate science. Secondly, we all recognize that cities are the CO2 emitters and continue to be, and we also need to make sure that cities must still be competitive enough and must be the engine of growth. Because Asian countries are still developing. We cannot afford to say, cut down CO2 and then we'll be happy. We still need jobs. We still need to create opportunities for the city to grow. But at the same time, we try to pro-environment, pro-poor, and pro engine of growth or economy. So in this case, actually what we are trying to say, we are trying to look for a process whereby we can decouple CO2 emission and economic growth. So that is the biggest challenge I think we are trying to do here. Secondly, we recognize that effective implementation of low carbon measures at city level, we really need a multidisciplinary professional input. So involve multi stakeholders. We need architects, we need urban planners, we need NGOs, we need business people, we need even schools to help us. That's why we are going to different angles. And actually one of the so-called, we call low-cost approach is schools actually. Awareness program, consensus building, and we found that actually community action are very important. That's why if you look at our presentation earlier on, it was called low carbon society. The word society is very important. We are talking about inclusiveness, sustainability, as well as growth. So I think these three things are always together. And when you talk community or consensus building, the important thing here is the buy-in. How do we now, that means urban managers or architects or urban design, need to have the buy-in from the community to embrace low carbon or sustainability into their design process and into implementation process. So the buying in become more and more important now, I think. So when you talk about planning to implementation, to us actually, society will play a very key role there. And maybe I would like to highlight another third point is that actually low carbon measures have to relate to local co-benefit. People in developing countries are not talking about CO2 reduction just by, I have reduced 10 tons, 100 tons, million tons. To us, actually, the most important is the co-benefit in terms of safety. Can low carbon help us to have a better safe city, to provide income generation, to increase our property values, to have a health improvement, to have a better air qualities, or to have a saving in commuting, okay? Or as well probably community engagement and probably enhance community building. So it's a place-making, community building, and low carbon. So I think that probably become more important. The co-benefit side, I think, not purely for the. If you really want to implement, probably these are the core areas that we should be talking about. I think I'll stop here first.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. So now we slightly move to panel discussion. And then I'd like to invite the last but not least, the panelist, Mr. Boyd Joeman from the Iskandar Regional Development Authority. So I think you are like not regular, but you joined the COP 3-4 times, 5 times. Okay, floor is yours.
I'm old now, I think. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Prof. It's actually echoing what Prof was saying. Just to give you an idea, Iskandar Malaysia is an economic region. If you know, Singapore is 3 times the size of Singapore, and it's economic region in the sense of economic development. In the UK, they have economic development areas as well. So it's very much molded on that basis. But the whole idea was, if we want to develop economic region, how do we manage resources? How do we optimize, protect our environment? And the way we did it is through this document called Low Carbon Society Blueprint, which is, in a sense, what is the topic all about in today. We launched our LCS blueprint, the first one in Malaysia in 2012 in Doha. From then on, we started implementing. We came up with 281 programs from this particular document here, and we've done about 30 of these. And we know that through the tracking that we've done, and as Prof was saying about the research, importance of research in this process, we have reduced our carbon emissions by 16%, which is pretty good from the time that we started from this one. But of course, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of research done. And I definitely echoed what Prof was saying, the importance of research in the process of tracking our emissions, even as we develop into an economic region in 10 years' time. So this is the very basis of this document and how we implement that on the ground. But like Prof was saying, the importance is how do you get the buy-in? How do you get people, and especially for economic region, the businesses involved? So we came up, for example, with what's called green economy guidelines to help businesses how they can go green and adopt green. And one of the things I'm going to do today is launch a particular document that is helping us to ensure that we are on the path, truly on the path of becoming an economic region with a lot of green growth attached to it and low carbon at the same time. And this is the crux of the question that we're doing. The challenge is getting everybody in the same boat, more or less. Because if everybody is doing this, one and the other, it can't work. It has to be a totality, a holistic approach, and everyone must be involved. It's quite interesting because he's not here this morning, but we were talking to somebody from Wales in the UK called Paul Allen, and he was talking about zero carbon. Very interesting approach. And the way he did it is in terms of how do you get people involved in the process? Not so much, oh, we've reduced by a certain percent, but how do you get people in their feelings about living in that kind of environment, that kind of society? So I'm very much interested in the environmental psychology of this approach now, because we think it's a new branch of, if you like, a new branch of research in relation to the fact that we want to create a low carbon society for Iskandar. But this is what we're doing in Iskandar, Malaysia. Rapid growth in the last 10 years, and I've got a badge, if you like, to show that it's been 10 years. Rapid growth, very fast paced, but the important thing is the research behind the work we're doing. And we started tracking our emissions based on that. And my colleague from the World Resources Institute, his colleague is involved in some of the advisory part of the project. So very important piece of work. As I said, we launched it before. The next few years probably will tell us a lot more about what is happening in Iskandar, Malaysia. By all means, I just want to plug here a bit about the advertising here. In our Malaysia pavilion later on the 16th, there will be an event there, which I will talk more about what we are doing, the lessons learned, the implementation of our low carbon society blueprint. That's on the 16th in the Malaysia pavilion. So if you are still around and you're free, please come and join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Boyd, for sharing your good experience and then from the planning to implementation, and also for good information sharing to invite the Malaysian pavilion too. Okay, so now I'm very much sorry for waiting all of you to having the opening floor. So you have a question, okay? So Mike, please bring the mic to the gentleman. And please identify yourself first. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Timo Turvainen. I come from Finland.
Finland. Okay.
And I'm very pleased to hear about these city plans, because it turns out that we are, in all our cities, we are thinking the same problems, the same questions. And the cooperation, it's certainly a way to learn from each other. But still, I want to, my ideas that I would like to express, they relate to what Mr. Joeman just said in his intervention. We must have everybody in the process. I've made a 40 years career as a chief economist of Finnish banks. After having retired, I decided to chair something called Storm Warning Association. And with our group, we noticed that no one has thought that not only cities, not only companies, branches can make pledges, but wait a minute, what could be a citizen's climate pledge? We introduced such a pledge a bit more than a year ago. Our 3 living presidents of the Republic have designed it: religious leaders, artists, and business leaders also. But none of those has signed it as a representative of an organization, but as an individual person who pledges to reduce, to do anything they can to reduce their carbon footprint by half until 2030. And we also created a calculator how one can in the internet, that how you can easily check your carbon footprint. We made a list of actions that you can make easily, with not making your life more difficult, your life more expensive, but you can do it so very easily. And when the United Nations climate headquarters heard about that. They invited us to do cooperate, and now there is a plan to make the citizens' climate pledge a kind of UN pilot, a global thing. So I think this is in all countries. You just Google citizens climate pledge, and you find a link there. And I think you could use it everywhere. And as Professor Siong said, schools are important. Also, we are discussing with our leadership of education system that in every school, every class, every person would do this kind of calculation. What is their family's carbon footprint? And I hope that this school pupil go back home and say, wait a minute, mama, hey, dad, we could do better. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'd like to invite the questions or comments from the floor first. And so please, at the backside. Yeah. Gentleman. Yeah.
Can I go
and
ahead?
then next, yeah, you have a question? No? Okay, but later then, yeah, you are first, yeah, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Dr. Fujino, for giving me this opportunity to also share my thoughts on the initiatives that are being undertaken by.
Please identify yourself.
Come again.
Identify yourself.
Yes, I'm Albert Magalang. I'm from the Philippines,
okay.
And I really appreciate the various case studies that were presented here by the various ministers on environment, especially coming from the government. What I really miss actually is the participation by the private sector. We know that the NDCs will not be operationalized or probably fully operationalized or implemented by the government sector. It should be the private sector. So what I'm missing here is in the equation here is the engagement of the private sector. How can we entice them to really work with us, with the government, with the ministers in operationalizing our NDCs especially? I do appreciate the researches that were mentioned by Mr. Joeman, and I hope that there will be some other studies on how to engage the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then, okay, you first. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. My name is Alik from Zambia. I just wanted to find out, apart from identifying, the needs, what criteria you use to support developing countries NDC. I just wanted to find out that criteria.
Criteria. Okay, thank you very much. And then next, yeah, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. I just like to follow the question of this gentleman. Okay, since the European society, I mean the citizen in Europe, I think they are awareness of this problem. I mean, so they can do well. Okay, but the question in Southern Asia, okay, the citizen maybe they just want to make more money or something like that. Okay, so there is a problem. You are talking about city to city, right? And all the figure you show is to me is like public support. I mean government support. Okay, government support. But how can you in South Asia? Okay, how can you narrow down to the ordinary citizen because of the citizen maybe doesn't want to invest more efficient air condition or more efficient appliance. So I think that's the problem now we have to face. To the public, to the government, maybe he can enforce those regulations on those hotel or transportation or something like that. But for the ordinary citizen life, maybe it is very difficult. So how can you narrow down this policy down to everyone? I mean the ordinary citizen, and make the really save the carbon emission. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also, Tansri, maybe it's yes. Sorry.
Thank you. My name is Issa Mohammed. I'm from Malaysia. Actually, I'm also the president of the International Union of Architects. just to respond to a gentleman's question about the participation of the private sector. I believe that it is not the role of the government or the local authorities alone or the ministries. It has to be a paradigm shift. So UNEP, last year we have launched the Global Alliance on Building and Construction as to how we could actually encourage professionals, private sectors, bankers, what have you, including contractors, construction people, and manufacturers to move towards zero carbon. And this is being done quite a lot. In the US, there is a movement called Architecture 2030, where you actually design buildings, right, which aims at zero net carbon. This is the movement. So if you start from schools to educate children, the importance of climate change, then I think it will move on. It will move on. It's a major paradigm shift. We agreed in Paris last year that we're going to reduce carbon emission and greenhouse gases, right? And the temperature by 2 degrees or 1.5. That is the aim. We have to do this. And the question is, how do we ensure that we don't use fossil fuel anymore? This is a major challenge. So this is something that we have to move to renewable energy, wind energy, water, whatever. There's a lot of research being done. So I think this is the movement that time for implementation.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, please. Yes, introduce yes. Yeah.
A few words, okay. I'm Jin Xiu Liu from the Taiwan Environmental Protection Union. So that's my from Taiwan. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much.
This afternoon at 3 o'clock, the Global Alliance will meet at the Hotel Al Said. So if you are free, then you can attend.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'd like to invite all quick comment from the panelists. Maybe
it gets me excited when there are questions, of course. I'll do this very quickly because I can see the time there. Finland, great idea. And I want to try and do what you do as well. So I'm hoping that we can exchange cards later on and get everybody involved, because that's the whole process. The other thing I want to say here is the importance of being yourself, not just selling something or superficial, but it's got to be deep set in terms of how you approach businesses and others. This is what we've done in this kind of Malaysia. We know that people want to make money. We can't stop development, but there is a way around it without having to do enforcement or trying to be prove something in that sense. It's got to be a working together, and that's why we put this set of programs together to get everybody involved in the process without leaving anybody out. And going back to Finland, we produced this one where the schools, 281 primary schools, is in this kind of Malaysia also involved in the process. It's schools, teachers, the parents of the kids, as well as education department, all involved in the process. And this is being escalated nationally, by the way, which is a great idea for us. The other one is other project we'll be doing it in what's called low carbon village. Village, as you might know, it tends to be low carbon, but in villages in Malaysia called Felda, they are all palm villages, very, very high carbon. So we're trying to reteach them, if you like, how to go one step back and be a low carbon area. But I'd like to share with you one day, I've been talking about this, but eventually I can show you what this kind of Malaysia has done, because I think it's, I don't want to sell this one, but it's a wonderful way of approach, because we are testing something new. Research is one, but the other one is working with everybody to make sure that we realize this reduction in our carbon emissions. And it's a good step forward. And I'd like to share that another time. Thank you.
Any feedback?
Just also a very quick feedback on the importance of public sector engagement and how this is possible. I think this gentleman already mentioned that there's also a huge movement for business realizing that this is actually possible. Analysis done by the so-called new climate economy that committed by WRI. We did the economic analysis showcasing that actually there's a lot of economic opportunities by pursuing a low carbon path. So there's actually pretty room for you to go for development and make money, and then at the same time pursue a much lower carbon path than US. And globally, there's an initiative called science-based target setting. So companies will sign up to say, okay, we are going to commit to set a reduction target in line with the climate science, which means that by 2050, the global world needs to be reduced like absolute greenhouse emission by 80%. And we see 169 companies already committed to do that. And then actually 26 companies actually already set our target, reduction target that is aligned with the science. So that means it's possible. What we need to do is, I think it's the framework for the Asian countries to, set up the leadership from the government and have the really clear signal. And then we need to reach out to the private sector to see that, to get their perspective on how can we shift our business model, how we shift our investment, what the government needs to do to enable that environment. I think that was a critical question.
Thank you, Ranping-san.
Thank you very much. I think I agree that private sector's engagement is very important. But on the other hand, the support from the public sector or local government is also very important. So the combination between the private and public is very important to promote the low carbon society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And then, okay, and then now it's a time, but I'd like to also invite again the Datuk Sahrom, because DPKL this time launches the new initiative. And so the panelists, can you help to hand each by each, one by one?
Just to inform, actually we already launched the blueprint of low carbon society 2020, and then from now you can get full information on this one. On this one.
So this is a launching ceremony. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. And then also from Iskandar, Malaysia, there is the CASB. So
this is one of the projects that we have started implementing. The idea is to get 70% green buildings in Iskandar, Malaysia, new buildings in the next 10 years.
So this is the initiative.
This is
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then last but not least, the Vietnamese one again. Yeah. So for Hai Phong City and then Da Nang City. So it's very important for non-state actors to having the leadership. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for joining our side event, and then thank you for having a very active participation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations. Great.
Thank you.
very much.